Tuesday marked the changing of the guard for the North Andover Poet Laureate Committee, as Mark Bohrer was named the 5th Poet Laureate at a ceremony held at Stevens Memorial Library. Mark Bohrer is not your typical engineer, as Gail Henney and members of the Poet Laureate Committee were pleased to announce him as the town's official Poet Laureate.
Mark came to us having decided that poetry was his avocation.
Henney said Bohrer fit the bill for the town's Poet Laureate, citing his passion for poetry as a big deciding factor.
We were looking for someone who wrote poetry, who was interested in promoting poetry, and who had a plan going forward for poetry in North Andover.
Bohrer attended Cornell University and received his degree in engineering, something he still works in to this day. Bohrer had a love of music growing up and noticed a connection between music and poetry, citing the lyrics of 60s and 70s pop as his inspiration for writing poetry. From there, Bohrer began writing poetry and looked for places to share his work.
I started writing poetry, so then I started looking for places to read it, and going there, you find out there are so many different people with so many different things to say that it's really just a wonderful experience, because you have a way to get inside what's going on inside people, and you find out that there's so much going on in so many people, and that you don't get in ordinary life.
The ceremony included the send-off of the town's previous Poet Laureates, Ken and Nadine Delano, who go by their performing name Kennedine. Kennedine have been hosting a poetry open mic night for 4 years as Poet Laureates, something Ken said was a great way to get people involved with poetry.
But basically it was having the poets who didn't have a place to express themselves to come here on every 4th Tuesday of the month and get a chance to perform, just like we're going to have some of them do tonight that are here.
Following Kennedy's send-off was Bohrer's introduction, where he read a poem that he performed in front of the town selectmen meeting the night before. The poem speaks to the decision by North Andover to include 2 names for Columbus Day, now also recognized as Indigenous Peoples Day.
We don't want the lesson shortchanged. We want our kids to learn, to truly understand. We want our kids to read from all the missing chapters. We want our kids to gain from every class completely. We want our kids to know that books can have many authors. We want our kids to hear the story of our entire human family.
Following Bohrer's speech was his official coronation, including a crown fit for a Poet Laureate. The ceremony included free cake to all who attended, and for those who stuck around were treated to one last Kennedine hosted open mic night.
Huge. What a large,
Actually, small.
trek of a trip
Journey.
it's become.
Henney and the Poet Laureate Committee said they were most excited to see Bohrer bring strong social awareness to the position, citing his presence on Facebook as a strong medium to connect with people of all ages.
Mark brings a serious commitment to getting the word out about poetry. His ability to get us up on Facebook. You have to be on social media now to be current, to be accessible to youth, and he's doing that for us.
And one of the things that endeared him to us is he initiated a Facebook page for poetry in the town of North Andover. And he's done some very interesting projects on Facebook, so that's been fun for everybody to take part in too.
I hope that he keeps getting people to come out and do poetry who maybe haven't done it before, and get to, because most people write a poem for a reason, you know, but then they just let it sit on the paper, but we want them to get out and share it, and I hope he just keeps encouraging people to do that.
Bohrer said the part of the job he is looking forward to most is going to town events and representing poetry and the arts, something he believes is doing the same.
I think sometimes people forget, and they look at poetry on a page, and sometimes that can be dry. It doesn't work for everyone, but for a lot of people, when poetry is performed, it's like theater. You know, it's a soliloquy, and so that's something that can make it a lot more fun.
Prior to being named the town's Poet Laureate, Bohrer has been a committee member, and in 2016 created the Facebook group North Andover Poets Corner, a group that he still maintains to this day. For having a background in something as technical as engineering, Bohrer certainly has a way with words. For North Andover Cam, I'm Sam Murray.